Elena Marlowe grabbed the microphone and pointed straight at the rusted Mustang in the back of the parking lot. The afternoon sun caught the champagne in her other hand, turning it gold against the glass buildings of Marlowe Aerospace Technologies. 50 executives and engineers formed a loose semicircle around her, phones out, already smiling at whatever was about to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the future of transportation. The crowd erupted. Camera flashes lit up the October air. Someone shouted about junkyard chic. Another voice called out, asking if the car ran on hopes and prayers. Elena let the laughter build, riding the wave of her own cleverness. Teslas lined the premium spots. A BMW i8 gleamed near the entrance, and then there was the Mustang. Noah Calder stood 30 feet away with a mop handle still gripped in his calloused hands. The gray coveralls hung loose on his frame. 52 years old, his dark brown skin weathered from years of work, his close-cropped gray hair catching the afternoon light. He'd been pushing that mop bucket across the lobby floor when the noise from outside pulled him toward the glass doors. 4 years he'd worked here. 4 years of being furniture, of existing in that peculiar space where people looked through you rather than at you. The rust on the Mustang's hood spread like a disease. Passenger door didn't close right. Paint faded to the color of old blood. Travis Kincaid materialized beside Noah. "Noah, Elena wants to see something." Noah leaned his mop against the wall and followed Travis through the doors. The crowd parted. Elena's voice carried across the lot. "Ah, there he is, our guest of honor. We're doing our quarterly innovation showcase. I thought, why not include everyone, even our support staff?" Laughter rippled outward. Noah felt his jaw tighten. She'd never learned his name in 4 years. "That is your car, isn't it? The vintage model." More laughter. Noah stood very still and thought about Maren. Thought about the night she died holding his hand, barely able to whisper, "Don't let them bury it, Noah. Don't let them win." Something shifted inside him then. 4 years of invisibility cracking like old paint. "You want to see if it runs?" The laughter stopped. Elena raised an eyebrow, champagne halfway to her lips. But Noah was already walking toward the Mustang. The door opened with the squeal of hinges that needed oil. Noah slid into the driver's seat and the smell hit him immediately. Old leather and motor oil and something else. Maren's perfume. Faint now, almost gone, but still there. He put his hands on the steering wheel and closed his eyes. Then he turned the key. The engine didn't sputter, didn't cough or wheeze. Instead, it sang, a deep, smooth, powerful harmonic that rolled across the parking lot like thunder. The sound was unlike anything that crowd had ever heard. Not from a car, not from a plane, not from any machine ever built. Pure, perfect, alive. Every single person went silent. Noah revved the engine once, twice, 3 times. Each time that impossible sound filled the air, vibrating in their chests. Elena's champagne flute slipped from her fingers and shattered on the asphalt. Noah killed the engine, stepped out of the car, walked back toward the building without looking at anyone. Elena's voice chased him. "Wait, what was that? What kind of engine?" But Noah was already gone. Elena couldn't sleep that night. She lay in her penthouse bedroom 37 floors above San Francisco, listening to that sound replay in her mind. At 2 a.m, she reached for her phone. Travis answered on the 3rd ring. "I need everything you can find on Noah Calder. 6 a.m., my office." "You want me to investigate the janitor?" "Did you hear that engine today? I've never heard anything like that." Travis was waiting in her office at 5:45. A thin folder sat on her desk. Noah Calder, 52 years old, born in Atlanta, bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from MIT, master's from Stanford. Elena stopped reading. "Wait, MIT? Stanford?" "It gets better. After Stanford, he spent 12 years at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, worked on propulsion systems for deep space missions." "Then what the hell is he doing mopping my floors?" "About 15 years ago, he just disappears. leaves NASA, drops off the grid. Then 4 years ago, he shows up here with a fake resume. Travis handed her a printout, an old news article. The headline read, "Aerospace Engineer's Wife Loses Battle with Cancer." Below it, a photograph of Noah Calder looking younger, his dark eyes hollow with grief. He stood beside a woman in a hospital bed. The woman was smiling despite the tubes in her arms. Her name was Calder. She was also an engineer. She died at 41. The article mentioned the couple had been working on a revolutionary energy recycling engine, but there was no follow-up, like the whole project had just vanished. "I want surveillance footage," Elena said. "Every camera in the parking lot." The footage arrived that evening. Videos showed Noah arriving at 5:30, parking in the far corner. Another video showed him leaving at 11 p.m., 3 hours after his shift ended. He walked to the trunk, pulled out a small toolbox, popped the hood, and started working. This wasn't casual maintenance. This was engineering. Then she found it. In one clip, Noah disconnected something from the engine, a fuel line. She watched him step back and start the car. The engine ran with no fuel line connected. Ran for 10 minutes before Noah shut it down. Elena paused the video. Her hands were shaking. The next morning, Elena called Noah into her office. He came in still wearing his gray coveralls. "Sit down." Noah didn't move. "Please." Slowly, he lowered himself into a chair. "I did some research on you. MIT, Stanford, NASA. Why are you here pushing a mop around? My building? I needed a job. That engine? I've never heard anything like it." Something flickered in Noah's eyes. "It's just an old car." "Then you won't mind selling it to me. $50,000. It's not for sale. $500,000. Noah stood up slowly. "That car is all I have left of my wife. Every time I turn that key, I hear her voice. You can't buy that." He walked to the door, then stopped. "I know who your father was. I know what he did, what he built, and what he destroyed to build it." Elena's blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" But Noah was already gone. 3 days later, Elena made her decision. "Fire him," she told Travis. "Noah Calder. I want him gone by noon." At 11:47, Noah Calder was escorted out by 2 security guards. Elena watched from her office window as he crossed the parking lot toward his Mustang. He didn't look back, just turned the key. That sound again, that impossible, beautiful sound. Then he drove away. 6 days after Noah was fired, Elena's phone rang at 3 in the morning. Dr. Leora Chen, her head of engineering, sounded strange. "Turn on the news. Channel 4. The screen flickered to life, showing a press conference. At the center stood Noah Calder. He looked different, clean-shaven, wearing a simple suit. "I'm pleased to announce that Aurora Dynamics has received federal funding of $22 million for the development of our clean energy propulsion system. This technology, which my late wife Marin and I developed together over 15 years ago, has the potential to revolutionize transportation. The Aurora engine is a self-sustaining power system that recycles its own energy output." A reporter cut through the noise. "Mr. Calder, is it true that this technology was stolen from you 15 years ago?" Noah paused. "There will be a time to discuss the history of this technology. For now, I want to focus on the future." Elena muted the television. Her hands were shaking. She picked up the phone and dialed Alden Graves, her father's oldest friend. "Elena, do you know what time it is? Tell me about Noah Calder." Silence stretched across the line. "How much do you know?" "I know he had a technology that someone stole from him 15 years ago. What I need to know is whether that someone was my father." A long, heavy sigh. "Come to my house. There are files your father left with me. Files he never wanted you to see." Alden Graves lived in a mansion in Atherton. He stood at his front door at 4 in the morning, holding a manila folder. Your father was a complicated man, brilliant, ruthless, capable of great kindness and great cruelty. Did he steal the Aurora engine? Alden sat down heavily. Steal is a strong word, but yes, in essence, yes. He handed her the folder. Inside were documents, legal papers, patent applications, and a handwritten letter in her father's unmistakable script. 15 minutes later, she looked up. Her face was pale. He destroyed them. Noah and his wife. They came to my father for funding, and he took everything. He buried the patents. He threatened to bankrupt them with lawsuits if they tried to fight back. Elena stared at the letter. Acquired Calder thermal regeneration patents, worth billions. Calder will never recover financially or professionally. Her father's words, her father's sin. I mocked him. I humiliated him in front of the whole company. I fired him. And the whole time, he knew. The question now is, what are you going to do about it? 3 days later, Elena called an emergency meeting of her senior engineering team. What I'm about to show you doesn't leave this room. She pulled up the security footage. Noah working on his car, the engine running without fuel. This is Noah Calder. Until recently, he worked here as a janitor. Before that, he was a propulsion engineer at NASA. And that engine is called the Aurora, a self-sustaining regenerative power system that recycles its own energy output. I want you to replicate it. The team worked around the clock. They built prototype after prototype. Each one failed. 2 weeks later, the news broke. Maya Serrano, an investigative journalist with the San Francisco Chronicle, published a front-page exposé with the headline, "Aerospace Giant Built on Stolen Dreams." The story was thorough, devastating, and in the final paragraphs, sources within Marlowe Aerospace confirm that the company has recently launched a secret effort to replicate Calder's technology using the stolen patents. By 9 in the morning, Marlowe Aerospace stock had dropped 18%. By 5 in the afternoon, Elena's board of directors had called for her resignation. Travis knocked on her door around 7. The board wants an answer by morning. What would you do? Resign, take a severance package, disappear. Elena finally turned to face him. My father ran away from what he did. He buried it and pretended it never happened. I'm talking about doing something my father never did. I'm talking about telling the truth. Elena drove for 45 minutes before she found the address. Aurora Dynamics operated out of a converted warehouse in Oakland. She parked her Mercedes beside the rusted Mustang and walked to the front door. Inside, a dozen engineers looked up from their work. At the center stood Noah Calder. Everyone out, Noah said quietly. His engineers filed past Elena without a word. And you came here because? I came to apologize. Silence stretched between them. I read my father's files. I know what he did to you, to your wife, and I'm sorry. Not just for what he did, for what I did. I mocked you. I tried to buy your car. I fired you when you wouldn't give me what I wanted. And then I tried to steal your technology again. Is this supposed to make me feel better? No. This is supposed to be the truth. Noah leaned against a workbench. Your father came to me, once, about a year after he took the patents. Marin was already sick. We were drowning in medical bills. He showed up offering $200,000. Hush money. His jaw tightened. Marin was dying. We needed that money. And you know what she said? She said, some things are worth more than money. Some things are worth more than survival. If we take his offer, we'll be dead inside long before the cancer finishes me off. Tears were streaming down Elena's face now. She died 3 months later. Never saw a dime. Never saw her work validated. But she died with her integrity intact. I can't give back what my father took. I can't bring Marin back. But I can stop being him. Noah walked to a shelf and pulled down a thick binder, its pages yellowed with age. These are the original Aurora engine specifications, handwritten by me and Marin. Everything your father couldn't steal because we kept it in our heads. Elena stared at the binder. I'm not giving it to you, I'm testing you. Take this home. Study it. If you can understand what Marin and I built, not just the mechanics, but the philosophy, then maybe you're capable of being someone different. Elena reached out slowly and took the binder. How long do I have? As long as it takes. Elena didn't go back to her penthouse. She drove to a 24-hour diner, ordered coffee she didn't drink, and opened the binder. The first page hit her like a punch. In elegant handwriting, Marin's handwriting, were the words, "For Noah, for our future, for everyone who needs light in the darkness." She turned the page and started reading. The mathematics were brutal. Every equation built on the one before it. Marin and Noah hadn't just designed an engine. They'd created a philosophy of energy. Around 5, she found the section labeled Core Principles in Noah's handwriting. The Aurora engine is not about creating energy from nothing. That's impossible. It's about respect. Respecting the energy that already exists. Capturing what would otherwise be lost. Treating waste as opportunity. Marin always said that the universe doesn't have a scarcity problem. It has a wisdom problem. We throw away more than we use. The Aurora changes that. Elena read those words 3 times. She thought about her own life. The energy she'd wasted on appearances, on competition, on proving herself to people who didn't matter. She drove to a storage facility in Menlo Park, rented the largest unit available, and started making calls. I need equipment, she told Dr. Chen. Machine tools, diagnostic systems, everything we used for the prototype attempts. Elena, the board is meeting in 3 hours. They're going to vote you out. I know. I'm not going to the meeting. What? I'm done defending who I was. I'm going to become someone worth defending. Over the next 6 hours, Elena transformed the storage unit into a workshop. She maxed out 3 credit cards buying parts and materials. At 2 in the afternoon, her phone buzzed with a news alert. Marlowe Aerospace Board removes CEO Elena Marlowe in unanimous vote. She read the headline, set down her phone, and got back to work. The first prototype took her 8 days to build. It was ugly, clumsy. Her hands, sore from years of signing documents, were blistered and cut. She'd burned herself twice with the soldering iron, hit her thumb with a hammer hard enough to turn the nail black, but she kept going. She slept on an air mattress in the corner. She ate takeout from the Chinese place down the street. On day 8, she connected the power cell and turned on her prototype. It ran for 4 seconds before the energy loop collapsed. Elena sat on the concrete floor staring at the smoking wreckage. Determination. She went back to the binder, found a notation in Marin's handwriting. The key is patience. The system needs time to find its rhythm. Don't force it. Guide it. She rebuilt the prototype. When she connected the power cell again, she eased the switch gently. The engine ran for 30 seconds, then 45, then a minute and 12 seconds before it failed. Progress. 3 weeks into her exile, Alden Graves found her. He stood in the doorway of the storage unit, staring at the chaos inside, the failed prototypes, the sleeping bag in the corner. My God, what have you done to yourself? I'm learning. The board has frozen your assets. Your accounts are locked. They're talking about criminal charges. Elena didn't look up from the circuit board she was soldering. Let them charge me. I don't care anymore. Elena finally looked up. Her eyes were bloodshot, exhausted, but there was something in them Alden had never seen before. Something that looked almost like peace. I spent my whole life caring about the wrong things. Stock prices, board meetings, what people thought of me, and where did it get me? I was the CEO of a company built on stolen dreams. She held up the circuit board. This is real. For the first time in my life, I'm trying to build something instead of take something. Alden reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Cash. Untraceable. About 80,000. It should keep you going. Why? Because I failed your father once. I watched him do terrible things and said nothing. I won't make the same mistake with you. Be better than him, Elena. That's all I ask. The breakthrough came on day 37. Elena had rebuilt the prototype 9 times. Each version got a little better. She'd learned to read Marin's handwriting like a second language. And finally, something clicked. The Aurora engine wasn't just about energy recapture. It was about harmony. Every component had to work with every other component. The system couldn't be forced or dominated. It had to be balanced, guided, respected. Elena made one final adjustment, a small change to the energy flow regulator. She connected the power cell, held her breath, and turned the key. The engine started. Smooth, quiet, perfect. 5 minutes passed, 10, 20. The energy loop held. Elena sat down on the concrete floor and cried. She cried because she understood now what Noah had lost. The woman who had written those notes, who had dreamed these dreams. She was gone. She called Noah the next morning. It works. The engine. I built it. It's been running for 14 hours. Silence on the other end. You actually did it. I need someone to believe that people can change. Where are you? Noah arrived exactly on time. He walked into the storage unit, his eyes moving across the chaos, the failed prototypes, the binder lying open to a page covered in Elena's handwritten notes. Then he saw the engine, still running, that smooth, quiet hum filling the space like music. He examined every connection, every circuit. 15 minutes passed in silence. Finally, he turned to face Elena. This configuration, the adjustment you made to the flow regulator, it's not in the binder. I figured it out on my own, based on something Marin wrote about harmony. I realized the original design had a small imbalance in the feedback loop. Noah stared at her. You improved it. Marin and I spent 7 years on this engine. We knew that imbalance was there, but we couldn't figure out how to fix it. And you found the answer in 37 days. He picked up the binder, flipping through Elena's notes. She would have liked this, Marin. She would have liked seeing her work continue. I wish I could have met her. So do I. Noah set down the binder. You know what she told me once, right before she died? She said that the Aurora engine wasn't just about energy. It was about faith. She said that someday the right person would find our work and carry it forward. Someone who understood that technology isn't about power, it's about service. He reached out his hand. I need a partner. Aurora Dynamics is growing faster than I can handle alone. You want me to work with you? I want to give you a chance to prove who you are. Not your father's daughter, not the CEO who fired me, but the woman who spent 37 days in a storage unit destroying her hands and her pride just to understand what 2 people built out of love. Elena took his hand. For the next 3 months, Elena learned what it meant to build something from nothing. She answered phones, filed paperwork, negotiated with suppliers. She learned to fix the coffee maker, to unclog the toilet, to stay late reconciling spreadsheets. The other engineers watched her with suspicious eyes. Elena didn't blame them. She just kept working. The Boeing meeting changed everything. When the Boeing executives walked in, led by Dana Whitlock, a silver-haired black woman who'd forgotten more about aerospace than most people would ever learn, they didn't want to see PowerPoint slides. Show us something real. Elena led them outside to where the Mustang sat. She opened the hood. She pointed out the energy recapture systems, the harmonized flow regulators she'd refined in that storage unit. She climbed into the driver's seat and turned the key. That perfect, impossible sound filled the parking lot. The Boeing engineers stared at their tablets, watching the data flow. One whispered, "That's not possible." And yet, there it is. When it was over, Dana stood in silence, staring at the Mustang. I've been in this industry for 32 years. I've seen a lot of people promise miracles. Most of them were lying. But this is real. Dana turned to face Elena. I know who you are, Ms. Marlowe. I know what your father did. There are people at Boeing who think we shouldn't be anywhere near you. What do you think? I think people can change. Boeing is prepared to offer an exclusive partnership agreement, $10 billion over 5 years. 3 weeks after the Boeing deal was announced, Elena called a press conference. She stood backstage, wearing a simple black suit. Her hands were shaking. Noah stood beside her. You don't have to do this. I spent my whole life hiding from hard truths. That ends today. The conference room was packed. Elena set her notes on the podium, looked out at the crowd, and pushed the notes aside. I had a speech prepared, 3 pages of carefully worded statements designed to minimize legal liability. But I've decided to tell you the truth. The room went completely still. 15 years ago, my father, William Marlowe, stole revolutionary technology from 2 young engineers named Noah and Calder. He used lawyers and threats to take their patents, destroy their careers, and bury their work. The foundation of Marlowe Aerospace was built on that theft. She talked for 45 minutes, laying out everything. I can't undo what my father did, but I can tell the truth. To everyone who was hurt by my father's actions, I'm sorry. To Noah Calder, who showed me grace when I deserved condemnation, thank you. And to Calder, who I never had the honor to meet, your dream will not be buried again. She walked off stage to find Noah waiting. His eyes were wet. You did it. Is it enough? It's a start. 2 weeks after Elena's confession, Aurora Dynamics received an anonymous tip. Someone was leaking technical specifications to a competitor. Noah found Elena in the workshop. We have a mole. Elena felt ice spread through her chest. Someone knows exactly how my father operated. Travis Kincaid. She called her contacts at Marlowe Aerospace. The story came together. Travis had been William Marlowe's right-hand man 15 years ago. They set a trap. That night, they watched security footage as Travis broke into the workshop, photographed documents, planted malware. The next morning, Elena walked into a Marlowe Aerospace board meeting uninvited. I'd like to introduce someone who was there from the beginning. Travis Kincaid, my father's accomplice in the theft of Aurora. Technology. She played the footage. Board members sat stunned as Travis was escorted out in handcuffs. Your father would be ashamed of you, Elena. Good. I'm ashamed of him too. That's the difference between us. After Travis's arrest, the remaining Marlowe Aerospace board members approached Elena with an offer. They would settle all claims, provide resources to Aurora Dynamics, license the Aurora technology, and pay royalties. But something else was happening. Something quieter. Noah's daughter Riley and Elena's daughter Sienna had encountered each other at Aurora Dynamics after school. Riley was 14, smart and serious. Sienna was 12, sensitive and watchful. They bonded over shared experience, the strangeness of having a single parent who worked too much. That night, Elena went home early for the first time in months. She found Sienna doing homework. You're home? Want to get dinner? Just us. No work, no phones. Sienna's smile was like sunrise. 6 months after Elena's confession, Noah asked her to marry him. No ring, no elaborate proposal. Just the 2 of them in the workshop late at night, covered in grease. Marry me. Not because you owe me anything. Marry me because when I look at you, I see someone worth building a future with. Elena said yes, without hesitation. Riley and Sienna, who'd been eavesdropping from the office, came running out screaming with joy. The wedding was small. Alden Graves walked Elena down the aisle. Dr. Leora Chen was there. Riley and Sienna served as joint maids of honor. Noah's vows were simple. Marin taught me that love isn't about holding on to the past. It's about having the courage to build something new. Elena's vows came through tears. Noah, you gave me a second chance when I didn't deserve one. You taught me that real value comes not from what you inherit, but from what you build. 10 months after the wedding, on a clear October morning, The first commercial flight using Aurora engine technology took off from San Francisco International Airport. Noah and Elena stood on the observation deck with Riley and Sienna, all four holding hands. The Boeing 787 had been retrofitted with Aurora propulsion systems, painted deep blue with gold accents. And on the tail, a single word in elegant script, Marin. Noah saw the name and started crying immediately. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. This is her achievement, her legacy. The engine spooled up. That familiar sound Elena had first heard in a parking lot what felt like a lifetime ago. The aircraft lifted off and climbed into the California sky. She's flying, Noah whispered. Marin's finally flying. 5 years later, the National Museum of American Innovation created a permanent exhibit honoring the Aurora engine. They wanted to display the original prototype, the rusted Mustang. Noah agreed on one condition. Elena had to be there for the unveiling. The ceremony was held on a crisp November afternoon. At the WAM, center sat the Mustang, rust preserved, paint untouched. A bronze plaque stood beside it. Elena read it aloud during her speech. This vehicle carried a revolution. For 15 years, it transported a dream that powerful forces tried to destroy. The Aurora engine, developed by Noah and Noah Calder, represents one of the most significant technological achievements in human history. But more than that, it represents the power of persistence, the strength of love, and the possibility of redemption. She walked to the Mustang and put her hand on the hood. I want to tell you about a woman I never met, but who changed my life forever. Her name was Noah Calder, and she believed that technology exists to serve humanity. She believed that the universe doesn't have a scarcity problem, it has a wisdom problem. She died believing her life's work had been buried. She was wrong. Her work survived. Her dreams survived. And today, millions of people are living better lives because of what she built. She turned back to the crowd. I'm not the hero of this story. I'm the villain who learned to be something else. I'm proof that even the worst version of ourselves doesn't have to be the final version. Elena walked back to where Noah stood with Riley and Sienna, a family built from the ruins of tragedy. After the ceremony, Noah pulled out a small object, a key, old and worn. This is the original key, the one Marin used to start the engine for the very first time. I've carried it with me every day for 20 years. I want you to have it. Noah, I can't. Yes, you can. Marin would have wanted this. This key started a revolution. Now it belongs to the woman who helped finish it. Elena took the key with trembling hands. What am I supposed to do with it? Remember, every time you doubt yourself, hold this key and remember what it started. Remember that the most valuable things in life aren't always visible. Sometimes they're hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone brave enough to look past the rust and see the gold underneath. Elena closed her fingers around the key. Outside the museum windows, Riley and Sienna were laughing about something only sisters would find funny. Some revolutions start with a bang, others start with a whisper, and some, the ones that matter most, start with a rusted old car in a parking lot, an engine that shouldn't exist, and two people brave enough to believe that even the most broken things can be made to run again. The janitor had his justice. The CEO had her redemption. And the old car that everyone laughed at became the machine that changed the world. Because in the end, every engine, every person, every broken thing has the potential to be reborn. All it takes is someone willing to turn the key.